Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. So there's always an exciting, interesting day when BMW decides to drop a new model, because you never know really what you're gonna get. So after 5 years of production, BMW has decided to give the big brother X7 a facelift, and it's a pretty substantial one. I woke up this morning to DMs asking me to make a video on it, so that's exactly what we're gonna do today. Most of the comments though, they were kind of they had a little bit of a negative vibe to them regarding this new design, but I think it could be a lot worse, and I'm gonna let you know why in just a minute. First, let's have a look at some of the spec and tech of the new X7. The standard xDrive 40i is powered by a twin-turbocharged 3-liter inline-six with 375 horsepower, and that's a boost of 40 horsepower over the previous model or pre-facelift. The hybrid M60i model puts out a healthy 523 horsepower from its twin-turbocharged 4.4-liter V8, and there will also be a performance Alpina XB7 that will have 630 horsepower, and that will do 0 to 60 miles per hour in under 4 seconds in this massive SUV. It's pretty impressive. In addition to the exterior, the interior gets a huge overhaul as well, with a massive curved screen housing a 12.3-inch gauge cluster and a 14.9-inch display for the infotainment stuff on the right, all behind a single piece of curved glass. Not sure what I think about that. We're going to compare the old interior and the new interior here as well, because I think it's such a huge step forward or huge change that we're going to have to look at that, and I want to know your opinion on that as well. The 2023 X7 will go on sale here in the US at the end of this year, starting at $79,000 for the xDrive 40i and $104,000 for the M60i. The Alpina XB7 comes out a little later and is expected to cost somewhere around $145,000. Now, we all know how important a great audio system is in a car, especially on longer road trips, and the X7 gets the Bowers & Wilkins Diamond surround system with 20 speakers and 2 subwoofers powered by a bespoke 20-channel amplifier. Not bad, but what if you want to take that great audio quality that you have in your X7 when you leave your car? Now, fortunately, a company called Status Audio have just a solution for that. Before we go any further in the video, I'd like to thank today's sponsor of this video, New York-based Status Audio. So Status Audio sent me their Between Pro earbuds to try out, and they are the only Bluetooth true wireless triple driver earbuds on the market today. So I want to show you this cool exploded sketch to show you what goes into one of these earbuds. We have a total of 3 drivers in this earbud. Right here we have the 10mm dynamic driver, and in addition to that we have 2 balanced armature drivers right here. So I know that might all sound very fancy, but what does it really mean for the audio? 3 drivers, it means that you have 1 driver for the bass, 1 for the mids, and 1 for the treble, and this results in a far cleaner, wider, and powerful audio in every range of human hearing. In fact, these are so powerful they extend well beyond the range of human hearing. And on top of that, you have an industry-leading battery life of 12 hours in the buds and an additional 36 hours in the case, for a total of 48 hours of continuous listening. Audiophile codecs stream audio at a much higher quality as well, thanks to these drivers and the technology, than most wireless audio signals. The problem that I had when I was using earbuds, specifically when working out and running, they always tend to fall out after a minute or two. The thing is, with these earbuds, I've not had that problem yet. I want to quickly talk about this design of these earbuds. So we have this piece right here, but this to me is the most interesting part, the piece that kind of sticks into your ear. I used the one that came with it. I think that's the smallest one. Status Audio's goal is to provide audiophile quality in a package and price that makes audiophile fidelity much more affordable and attainable. So if you're in the market for new earbuds, go and check these out, linked down in the description. Thanks again to Status Audio for sponsoring this video, and now let's get back
to the redesign.
Alright, so here we go. We're in Photoshop. Let's have a look. Let's analyze the new BMW X7. Let me give you my opinion on this design. The first impressions are actually, it doesn't look too bad. You know, BMW these days, as I said, you don't really know what you're gonna get. So this is a bit of a conservative design for what we've seen from concept BMWs. But keep in mind here that this is just a facelift. It's still based on the old generation or the pre-facelift X7. So it's not a brand new model. They have, of course, implemented some of their brand new graphics that we see in the concept, such as the XM. We're gonna see this in the 7 series and the i7 as well, where you have the headlights being kind of tinted down here. I don't know why they try to hide the headlights like this. It's almost like they're ashamed of having headlights in the front end. It doesn't really make sense to me, but at the same time it does, because it gives companies a lot more opportunity to give their cars a stronger brand identity by using these lights top above the headlights and do whatever shape and design they want with it. Since they're not going to be really functional for projecting light ahead, that job is assigned to these headlights down there. So you can do whatever you want here and create a pretty strong brand identity, specifically when you look at this car at night and when it's light up and you see it in the rear view mirror. You're gonna know that this is a BMW coming for me and hunting me down. Then also I want to show you this, the M60i here. It has illuminated grille. You can't really see it here, but on this version you have, I think it's an option to have the grille being illuminated, like similar to the XM concept. And I kind of like this design. There's just one big problem that I see with this design, specifically when we compare it to the pre-facelift, and that's the change I'm going to do in the redesign. It's going to be a very quick redesign, but I'm going to show you, and I think you're going to agree with me here, that it's going to look more planted. The front face is going to look more continuous, or like the geometric shapes have more connection to each other. I think that's lacking big time here in this design. Both in the regular X7 and the Sporty M version here, we have the same kind of problem. And the problem is that up top here, we have a lot going on in the top half of the front face. Very heavy graphic features. The big grills right here, obviously the same shape as the old X7, which I appreciate, because the new ones on the XM, for example, not a huge fan of. I don't think I'm gonna be a fan of the 7 series grille as well, since I've seen the teaser photos where the outline of the grille is lit up, and it just doesn't look right, because it doesn't have a direction. It just looks like a little cell, two cells that are kind of merging together or about to separate. Doesn't have a cool structure, strong structure to it, but I think we have that here, and I really don't mind this treatment on this facelift. It looks pretty good to have the headlight down here and then a very thin daytime running light up here. Same thing on the X7 M60i down here. But the problem is, if we have all this graphic feature heavy up top, we need to have a solid base for this graphic as well. We need to have a base for the building that is the front fascia. So let me show you quickly what I mean by just sketching out some simple shapes here. If we have a shape that goes something like this, we have a bunch of random shapes in the bottom of a car, for example, something like this, and then we have the headlights sticking out all the way to this point. So let's say we have the headlight here and another headlight here. The overall feeling of this front face is that we have a directional vibe that goes something like this. So we have the base being thinner than the top part, and this creates a kind of unstable feeling. So what if we were to invert this and create a solid base? That's what I want to do with the redesign. So let's just flip this around and see what we get. So now we have more of a solid base, and we can feel the balance. The top part of the graphics are not gonna wobble back and forth because we don't have a solid structure in the bottom part. We have a clear baseline right here with some graphics stretching from one end of the car all the way to the other, and then we can build whatever we want. We can have some BMW lights up here, maybe have some lights and then the kidneys in the middle right here, and of course symmetrical on the other side. Now we have this type of angle of the design, and it creates more of a stable looking front face. So that's what's lacking here. You can see that the daytime running lights and the headlights on both of these, obviously, they stretch further out on the side than the base, and that creates this kind of weak looking front face. I want to have this graphic stretched out a little further this way to create a solid foundation to build this massive heavy graphics on top of. But still, even though I think this is not really a bad looking design, if we just pop in the old X7 here, I just think it still looks better than the updated version. I do prefer these traditional headlights with no hidden massive black headlight or tinted headlight down here. This just looks like a more elegant BMW. And the thing with this old X7 is that we have this foundation of the graphics that I'm looking for in the new one. So look at the graphics on the old one. It stretches across the entire width with one single line that creates the foundation, and on top of this we can now build whatever we want. Here we have the foundation being very short and narrow, and then all this heavy features on top. It just looks like it's wobbly and unbalanced. Quickly have a look at the rear view. I'm just gonna brush this over because it's not really a lot of big differences here when it comes to the facelift. You can see the differences between the M, specifically down here in the diffuser, a lot more aggressive and bigger exhaust, more rectangular style exhaust than we have on, actually this is rectangular too, but it's just a single exhaust right there. Bigger exhaust. What I like about this as well is you can have 23-inch wheels as an option. That's new for 2023, and that only comes with the M60i with summer tires. And I think 23-inch wheels on a big SUV like this is just gonna look really good. If I were to pick between these two, I think you know which one I would pick. I definitely prefer the no chrome option. We have chrome trim everywhere on the regular X7. On the X7M, it gets tinted and black pieces instead of the chrome parts. I definitely prefer that, almost like a Audi shadow line trim or something like that. Comparing it to the old one, you can see that there is pretty much exactly the same rear end, which is kind of sad because I feel like when companies do facelift, they focus 95% on the front end, but the rear end also has a character. It also has a personality to it. So I would like to see companies focusing more on the rear ends as well when they do facelifts like this. Before we go into the redesign here and show you what I want to do with the new X7, I just want to show you the interior because this is a massive change in the layout of what it, the infotainment and the gauge cluster. The old one looks like this. You have a digital gauge cluster right here and a infotainment system right there. Now we have this Mercedes-like, I guess you would call it Mercedes, but a lot of companies do these days, a huge curved screen right there. And I don't know, I kind of prefer the original one here as well. It's not that I'm stuck in the past, it's just that I don't want to have a huge iPad on every single car that comes out today. I want to have more shapes and more defined housings for the different parts of the interior, like we have here. We have a different housing for the gauge cluster that goes like this. This has been designed and sculptured and stylized, and then we have another design for the infotainment system that's also been put an effort in to make it separate from the gauge cluster. Here, I don't know, it just kind of feel a little lazy to me design-wise, just smacking a big screen on there with a bunch of software and not even have a separation between these two. I'm sure it's very, very functional, but it feels a little too clinical for me. I don't know if that makes sense, but it feels like they're taking away the souls of car, not just by making them EVs, all of them, but also the interiors. They're becoming just these displays on the inside, and I want to have more tactile feeling in the interior and different materials and sculptures and textures, not just flat, clean surfaces all over the place. But I don't know, I'm gonna have to wait until I actually sit in one of these to really appreciate these changes that they made on the interior. But I would like to hear what you think about this new interior. Are you a fan of this big curved screen that we're starting to see on pretty much a lot, or maybe all luxury cars these days? Or do you prefer the more analog way of doing things? This is very digital still, but it's the design, the housing of these digital elements feel more sculpted, and they feel more stylized and interesting to be a part of when you sit inside the car. So with that said, let's jump into the quick redesign here. Let me show you exactly what I want to do with the BMW X7. So a really quick redesign today, just to create, as we talked about, the foundation for the lower part of the front fascia. And the thing is with the X7, you know, I said it could be worse. It could look like an XM, for example. I'm glad they didn't go all the way that far in this facelift. But at the same time, it's still just a facelift. So don't get too excited and think that BMW has finally come to their senses. They're making grills that are acceptable size and shape and has some clear definition and direction to them. This is it's still based on the old X7. I'm pretty sure that the next completely new BMW X7 is going to be something completely different. We're still going to have these features where you have the daytime running lights being a single little piece up top with the headlights being integrated in the bumper. We're seeing that in a lot of manufacturers these days, and I think the next X7 is going to be more like the XM and more vulgar in its design. This is like a last final touch for this generation X7 to bring it into kind of have a smooth transition from the old X7 with this little transition facelift until we go into the very new design language of BMW, and very, I would say, vulgar design language of BMW. They haven't really, I don't think they've come to their senses. This is that's why I wouldn't get my hopes up and thinking that BMW is going back to their graceful way of designing cars, since this is based on an old design that started in 2017. So looking at this redesign, just adding this base like we have, the same base that we have in the previous pre-facelift X7, adding that to this design actually makes it a very, very attractive car. Because look now, the line on top of the headlights that is in the bumper, not the daytime running light, we're gonna disregard that right now. Look at the headlight, and the line that goes above that now goes into the graphics in line with the same, it has the same end point on each sides. So we have the base being built completely vertically now, so you can have whatever heavy graphics you want on top of this solid foundation that is the base graphics of the front face. Me personally, I think it makes a big difference for this design, and this is something that I would personally want to see BMW do. Focus less on making the lower part of the cars so advanced and so messy with lines that don't go anywhere. Have one solid piece of foundation and build whatever you want on top of that. You can't build a house built on pebbles and rocks. You need to fill those in with cement to be able to build something beautiful on top of that, and that goes for the front fascia of the BMW X7 as well, in my opinion. Thanks again to Status Audio for sponsoring this video. If you want a pair of really good earbuds, I would really recommend you go and check out their Between Pro earbuds and have a feel for yourself. Just the fitment of them and the sound quality is fantastic. I'm sure you're gonna be happy with them if you try them out. Link down in the description to get yours. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.